Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. It's obviously been a while since I last recorded my video. Today marks the 20th of October 2023, my birthday by the way. And we'll see if we can snatch up a win today. Let's play e4. Also, I changed up some settings. I'm recording from a different laptop today, so I hope everything is well. It seems to be doing well. I hope it is as well. Maybe I should check um, if If the if people don't hear it from just the left ear or something, that wouldn't be great. Let's play knight f3. Maybe I should have thought about this earlier. But whatever. Okay, this is what it is. Okay, so we have a good old Sicilian, where d4 is the main line, right? And we get into the theory of our opponent. And what I learned in chess is that you don't, wanting to win sometimes gets in the way. You often want to have things in the manner that you want it to be, if that makes any sense, where you want things to work in your specific way, but oftentimes it doesn't. So maybe sometimes it's good to just do the normal thing, do the natural move order. D4 is the best move. Why should we try to play our own opening, which does things, but not necessarily good or bad? Do I make any sense? I don't think so. And I think we surprise our opponent with just a natural d4. Because he is used to maybe, playing close Sicilians in this position. Because a lot of people don't play the open. So the weird thing is that, strangely enough, the main line is not the main line for our opponents. And we have knight f6. Knight f6 attacks the pawn. So again, it makes sense to defend it. We can defend it with the knights, we can defend it with the bishop. But when you defend it with the bishop, we lose the knights. So I feel like this is the way. What we can also do is play f3, defend the pawn this way, develop the bishop to e3. And imagine a scenario where the king has castled and, all sorts of things have happened. With f3, we can play g4, then we can play g5, attacking the knights, and start running our king side pawns up. So we can also play f3. I like f3, so I'll play f3. It's obviously not the best move, but yeah, get things done. All right, so he plays g6, intending to put the bishop on g7, which makes sense. We just resort to normal developing moves now. Knight here, bishop here, and that was our plan. The opening without pieces is not very great. And obviously we want to long castle, so it makes sense to me to go queen d2, nice square for the queen, and then to go long castles. So before anything, we have sort of good development, right? So he takes, you can take with the queen, you can take with the bishop. I feel like, I don't know, can make a bit. We could make a case for both. We could make a case for both. Let's start with that. But if you go here, you have knight g4, attacking the queen, but also attacking the bishop. So it makes sense to me to take with the bishop. Also, you want this bishop in the long run. All right, king h7. What does he want? He wants this, because this way he can pin my queen to the king, and it makes sense for me to just drop back. But you can also just play king b1 and stop any nuisance of any sort of that. d6, opening up the bishop, but the bishop doesn't really have any scope here. The only squares he can't go to are these two squares. So I'm not really particularly fond. I think he wants to do something like this, but there he's writing on granite, maybe even this, targeting the a2 pawn. And now we go back to our calculating ways. because this is inherently not a bad move because it does stop g4. G4 was not really an option to begin with when. Yeah. So I'm thinking I want to play g4, right? But after takes, or even takes, it just doesn't look good. It just doesn't look good. So maybe we should prepare g4 by playing this first, and then play g4. But we have to calculate this. h3, bishop e7, g4, if takes, if takes. If you have, and after, let's say, h5, we have our original plan of playing g4, and then eventually snapping up this weak pawn here with a maneuver like this. That makes sense to me. Let's play h3. I quite like this. Yes, this bishop is undeveloped, but it often, that shouldn't be a problem yet that the rooks are unconnected. So he plays a6 here. The difference now is that the bishop of his is undeveloped, and he's attempting to play b5, which doesn't really seem to be a big problem yet. We can just continue playing g4. Did anything change there? After h5, g5, knight here. Oh no, wait, he can't even go there. Knight here, perhaps. And then queen f2, trying to pick up this pawn. Seems like a legit option if he plays h5, and if he takes, obviously this just looks hammering good. He does play it. Play g4, g5, and now we'll go after this pawn. And if this pawn falls, I think his whole position falls. Also, we could snatch up the bishop, which is annoying. Could also not do that, because if he takes, and here you have rook h8, defending the pawn, and then I have a very hard time snatching it up. Very hard time to snatch it up. So my idea is to go here. If he takes, we take here a check. He goes back, and then we take. Okay, you have rook h8 in that position as well. But then we can just drop back to g3, and we are just up a full pawn. We're just up a full pawn. Can also go via this way, but there we walk into this. There you walk into this. That I should be very careful about. So let's go here. Intending to snatch up the pawn. Very logical. No need for genius moves. Just very logical, simple moves. Let's snatch up the pawn. Now we snatch up this pawn. The rook h8. We just drop back. Where do we drop back to? Doesn't really matter. I feel like, g3 should be a decent square. Defending something. And I feel like queen b6 is coming. Attacking the rook. Rook then drops back. He is eyeing down b2 as well in that position, so it feels like a really good move for black. He goes for something else entirely. And he wants to, go for the attack. I see that he wants to go bleed 4. So he might need to go here. Also preventing queen b6. And if e6 happens, trying to kick away the knights, we can just drop it back to e3, and then this has become a target. So I think this is a good way of playing. This, oh, we walk into this again, so we have to go here. But he goes knight there, wow. Knight there, maybe going here, maybe going there, I don't know. Let's ask. What do you want? I don't see it. And we're creating some intrusions on the king side with the pawns. Ah, you wanted to go all the way there, attacking the rook. Okay, I see you. I see you. So I just want to play safe and maybe just go rook d1 for now, and then go like bishop here. Probably rook d2 may be better, but I feel like this is a bit slow if I play rook d2 instead. Also, we're just up a pawn. There's no need for any crazy things. The knight is very well placed. The only problem in our position is our bishop now, which we intend to, just trade off probably. Fly it this way. We have to play h4, bishop h3, trade it off, and then everything feels fine. Okay, rook b8, intending to push further. I'm not really scared of that. Also, I missed a tactic. I was thinking about plans, but let's not forget that we have tactics, which is very bad. And now the tactic has also just gone away. Such a sad ending. But let's not remorse. Let's go back to our original plan. Trading off, because we're up a pawn. I've missed this tactic, but it's also something people usually miss. I'm not trying to make up for the fact that I missed a simple tactic, but a lateral queen or rook move are also just very hard to find in chess. Let's take. And also back moves are hard to find. Let's say if queen takes, you calculate knight takes on e7, thinking you would, if the king would be on g8, you would fork. You could easily walk into this as well. All right. So now that we have improved his position, let's try to actually do something. I'm thinking h5 takes, takes, and if takes, we go with the other pawns. Does that make sense? Not really. So what to do? I'm also seeing this takes, 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 which also doesn't really make much sense. He's intending to continue pushing the pawns, which makes sense. So let's not panic here and just think. Let's not panic. If you want to push either h5 or f5, you have to put our queen here to support this action. He pushes the pawn again. Now you play h5. Takes, takes. We're getting some openings somewhere. We have to open up the position. That's the whole thing, right? Open up the position. Why do you look so pale? It's actually crazy. Anytime e6 comes, yeah. So he goes here, intending some action on his side of the board. It all makes sense. If you go here now, you know, keeping the pawn structure alive. I'm not really scared yet of this. Can always just take, take, take. And always play c3 in case there's another pawn. Yeah, it's getting a bit frisky, but let's just do this. After take, we take with the rook, takes, takes. We're getting some good action here. Getting some good action here. And he continues to make strides toward the queen side. All right, so we have this, but we also have this, where you could go back, but things would be closed in this situation. Also, he has checks. So maybe we need to resolve something here first. Maybe. So how do we want to open it up as where to we don't have many weaknesses? Well, if you take here, takes, and then play c3, we restrict the knight of going anywhere, but there is this threat. Also, now that he has pushed, we have reopened the possibility of this check. It's also important to notice. And if you play c3, actually, we take that opportunity away. You also can just take, and, the pawn here is just super annoying. Let's just, you know, get away with it. Yes, we are opening up the diagonal for the king. Yes, this looks super weak, but at least there's no pawn on b3 supporting all those shenanigans with queen h6 and queen a2 mating ideas. Well, not really mate, but definitely an idea. So now queen a6 is not so dangerous as it looks. You can just open things up. Yes, he can go here, give a check, but that's everything he got. That's everything he got. Also, if he goes anything like this, I have always maybe check here, right? If the knight becomes undefended, and knight cannot even go here, because we take. If the knight goes here, we take, obviously. So everything's looking good, I think. Goes there. Whoa. I believe in a lot of things, but not in this. Let's just take. Should take my time, though. Should take my time. I think a move like queen c3 makes sense to attack this. Are there any stronger moves? You can also just take here, take, trade off stuff, and then we go there. That makes more sense to me. And now we go queen here. Are we not blundering any checks? It doesn't seem to be. Taking this now. And obviously he is playing on the clock, which you shouldn't do too much. Only when you are losing. Well, in this case, it's clear that he should play on the clock. And we can even play this at some point. Maybe not, because then this square weakens up. But my idea was to go something like this. But we have to realize that not everything here is feasible. He does go back to protect the pawn, which makes sense. Let's go rook h1. So we might go here and here. The queen is very versatile on c3. In this case, he goes there. And now I'm already thinking about mates. Because after this check, here, this check, things are becoming a bit slightly out of hand. If he goes here, there's mates, right? Here, here, things are looking very matey there. So, let's keep a little bit of time on the clock. Let's give this check. It looks very mate. It has to be mate. I'm sorry. It just has to be. The pattern recognition here in my head is just screaming. There should be a mate somewhere here. If he goes here, we have this check. Then he goes here. Okay, he goes there instead. So let's give this check. There are so many checks. If he blocks, we have this check. And that should be a game over. Blocks in there. GG. GG. He had me on the clock. He definitely had me on the clock. So, yeah. Let's go quickly through the analysis without, well, with just an eval bar, apparently. because I don't want to do. Apparently, I heard that you should analyze without um, the engine. Well, let's just the eval bar instead. So knight f3, knight c6, and d4. This is the main line. I'm quite sure after takes. Um, Knight f6. We could have transposed to just the most normal Sicilian with knight c3, I think. And black has a lot of options here. You can play a6, you can this. I guess you can play almost everything. Well, yeah, well, this is still playable. It's just 1+1. Um, but we opted for the f3 variation, where you're basically trying to get, well, this variation, right? You try to long castle, and yeah, your idea is basically to start an attack on the king side. You obviously have to set it up properly. This is not the right way to set it up, but you can imagine a scenario where, if black doesn't play well here, there is an attack looming on the king side. Let's say we set this up correctly, white is not really doing, white is playing in, sorry, black is playing in white's hands and continues to play passively. There is just an attack on the H file. You could even start off like this. There's a lot of options here for white. So that gives you an idea of this opening. This setup, by the way, is a Yugoslav attack. It doesn't work in every setup. You can also play this in, what opening was it? You can play this in the Scotch as well. So instead of c5, you have e5, knight f3, knight c6, d4 takes, and after something like bishop c5 here, bishop has to go back because it's attacked. Here, knight f6. You can also opt for the same attacking, oh, this is not good, attacking setup, where you have this formation, but now the knight is not here, but on b3. But the whole idea here is to castle long and to start an attack again on the king side with the pawns. And you're trying to just push the pawns forward and, get very scary. This just looks great for, in my opinion, white. Okay, you don't get the open H file, but you do get pawns running at the king. Let's get back to the game. This was played with the f3 setup, and we kind of played this setup without much thinking. And after takes, I opted for bishop takes. I guess you could make a case for queen takes, but I think this would fail due to knight g4. You cannot take the knight as the queen is done hanging, and if you just drop back, he wins your very, very strong e3 bishop. And the merits of your position has completely fallen down. You can even blunder bigly here. Well, it's not so big of a blunder, but let's say I continue to be very annoyed with myself and I played this. Okay, it still doesn't work. But there are some things to be worried about when we allow that. So bishop takes, only move. Still intending with queen king h7, he still intends to go here, so it makes sense for me to just go there. And after this very passive move still, we just slowly set up the kingside attack with the pawns. So we have a middle game plan, and that's the whole point. And from that middle plan stems this. h4 is a good move because you try to keep things closed, but it fails due to g5. Well, that's what I thought at least. And after knight back, we just go after the pawn. And playing with a pawn is just a lot easier. And we slowly converted this. Also, notice how I missed a tactic here with this check. After he goes back, we can just take here. Wait, sorry. If he goes back here, we can just take. Obviously, this was mate, which I missed. I might have still taken the knight. So we instead try to play this slow. And the reason why this is +5, even though we're just a pawn up, why is this +5, even though we're a pawn up? Well, first off, this is not really dangerous if you play it well. So, yeah, the merit of his position, which should be his pawns, is not his pawns at all. The knight is very useless here. The queen is not doing anything. The rook is not doing anything. This rook is, I guess this rook is his best piece. You know, trying to threaten something. And if the pawn lands here, yes, okay. You know, I was thinking to play something like this, but this would be very annoying due to something like this. So, yeah. And our knight is really good. Our rook is in a semi-open file. This will be opened as well. So this is the reason why it's +5. So after this, takes. I think we should have taken, we did take. And now this doesn't come with the same effect as this would, because now this doesn't have any inherent effect. So we throw it open. Here we kind of played it blindly, but I also felt that our position was so good enough that we didn't even need to think anymore, which is obviously not the way to go. Although I do wonder after if black went to e8 with the king, I'm not really sure how to continue. Maybe we give a check. Yeah, as you can see, it's already not so easy. Wait a second. Yeah. So that was the game. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys next time.